All right, hello everyone, and welcome to today's news and notes video, Wednesday, October 22nd. What an eventful day yesterday was. I want to lead off with this, but I'm not going to be throwing in a lot of opinion or any kind of speculation. I just want to stick to the facts, just the basic stuff, and what the impact is. All right, so we're not going to go off the deep end with this. Yes, as most of you know, Parker Moskal was removed from the Monroe Moccasins, in essence. Team owner Nick Perkin posted statement on the Monroe Moccasins page, and it also got put on the FPHL page as well, because being that Moskal was the minority owner and the operating partner, it obviously had a league-wide effect. All right, so that's why it was posted there. Now, in essence, Moskal is no longer affiliated in any way, shape, or form in any capacity with the Moccasins. That means player, GM, his ownership role, those are gone now. And Nick Perkin has taken over as the interim GM. My understanding is there is a plan in place to get the right people in, permanent people. So we'll see what happens. We'll keep an eye on things. But anyway, so again, he's not playing for the Moccasins. He's just not with the club anymore. All right, now a lot of people have asked me, well, okay, what does this mean for PD? Nothing. Nothing at all, really. Kevin Kupia, who is minority owner for PD, made a statement on Facebook basically saying, this doesn't impact us at all. We are still committed to what we are doing. Parker's still the owner. It doesn't change things there. So this isn't going to have any kind of cascading effect with other teams or anything like that. So there will be a continuation of some changes made as the Moccasins, that is, go through assessments determining how best to move forward with what personnel, with what players. So there could be a lot of, this is the only speculation I'll throw in there, there could be a lot of player movement in the next few weeks. Could be. Will there be? I don't know. All right, so that's really all I really want to say on that. The last thing I'll stress on, though, is much of what has taken place in the last 48, 72 hours is behind closed doors, and it's going to stay there. All right. I'm not asking questions. I have not sent messages to people saying, hey, what's going on? That's just stuff that needs to stay behind closed doors. And I respect that. I think it's for the benefit of everyone if it stays that way. So basically, as far as I'm concerned, this happened. It's done with. We move on. So that's really about all I have to say on that. At this point, I really don't have anything else to add. So let's move on to other topics. I want to pull this up here. We had some suspensions that were announced. Now, they came through on the Fed website just Tuesday afternoon. I'm actually recording this Tuesday early evening. So as I'm recording this, this just came through just like an hour ago. All right. I just want to read off the suspensions and make some notes that Dave Jackson shared with them. So for the Monroe Moccasins, assistant coach Jay Krupp was suspended and fined an undisclosed amount for mainly for throwing the water bottle on the ice. This is the second time he's done that within a 12-month period. And the game on October 24th, he will not be permitted on the player's bench or near the player's bench. He can be in the building, but he cannot be on or near the player's bench. And this is not the first time we've had a coach suspended in the FPHL, so there's nothing new there. All right, the other suspensions were to Richie Perrant, goaltender Richie Perrant, forward Ben Stefanini, and forward Andrew Ballant for their role in the events that happened at the end of the game after the final horn sounded, mainly involving verbal abuse of the officials. Now, I do want to read off one specific thing here. Okay, it said, okay, the event took place as the winning team attempted to retrieve the game puck for their coach's first win. Andrew Ballant shot the puck into the crowd in direct defiance of the newly enacted rule that forbids this act. So we're not going to see this again. We saw stuff like this a couple times in the past couple of years. Thankfully, it doesn't happen very often. But now, you do this, you are getting suspended. So Ballant is suspended 1 game. So there's that incident. Then we had the Caleb Melanson incident with Indiana as they played Athens. He was suspended for 2 games. He was basically Dave Jackson went through again what he talked about on the Behind the Glass podcast last week, where he talked about the difference between instigation and being an aggressor. An aggressor is more serious. And for this, what happened, Dave Jackson said, yeah, this is an aggressor situation. So, he's suspended for the 2 games. Watertown Wolves, Quinn Chevers, suspended for 4 games. Now, I want to read this word for word here. Mr. Chevers simulated holding a handgun and shooting his opponent after they fought. This is in direct violation of the FPHL Board of Governors' lewd and inappropriate gesture policy established at the beginning of last season. It wasn't this season, it was last season. All right. This is Mr. Chevers' second offense in the past 12 months, 10-25-24, and it calls for an automatic 4-game suspension. A third offense in a 365-day period will result in a 1-year ban from the FPHL. All right. This rule was in place last year, and yes, they said back then, third offense is a year ban. I think a lot of us forgot about this. Now, what else is not spelled out in this? There's 2 things I want to touch on. First is that this was agreed upon and voted upon by the Board of Governors. This is not an executive board decision. This is a decision that all the governors got together and said, yeah, we want to enact this policy. As such, it is different than the other suspensions that we talked about. It's different than Melanson's and Perrant's and Stefanini's and Ballant's and Krupp's suspensions. All right. Being that this is under the lewd and inappropriate gesture umbrella, in this case, Watertown loses a roster spot for the 4 games that Chevers is serving. So the next 4 games, they will only be able to dress 17. Now, I'm just making something up just to use an example. Let's say on Friday, Watertown plays, and Chris Corrigan, he gets suspended for an aggressor penalty. No, I'm not picking on Chris Corrigan. I'm only using him as a hypothetical example here. Okay, if that happened, okay, Watertown would not lose another roster spot because that's not under the lewd gesture policy. That's a separate thing. So that's where we want to make a distinction here. So you violate the lewd gesture or inappropriate gesture policy, then your team loses a roster spot. With the other normal suspensions, you do not. All right, so I wanted to clarify that. All right, so that's what goes on with all of that. And we talked about the escalation. First offense, 2 games. Second offense, 4 games. Third offense, a year. Sounds severe, but the league is serious about wanting to get rid of this stuff. Well, let me correct myself. The Board of Governors is very serious about wanting to get rid of this stuff. So if you don't like it, take it up with the Board of Governors. That's all I can tell you. All right. Let's see. We talked about that. I skipped over this. Very, very important. And this was originally what I was going to be leading off with before everything happened with Moskal. After this weekend, all teams need to cut their rosters down to 20. I wrote it as 20 plus 1, and I want to explain that. Okay. The plus 1 is teams can opt to have a third goalie, which is good, especially if you're dealing with a goaltender that has more of a propensity to get hurt. Again, not picking on him, just stating a fact. Trevor Babin, he's gotten hurt each of the last couple of years. I hope it doesn't happen again. But nonetheless, it behooves Columbus to have a third goalie because Babin is more likely to get hurt than, say, Frankie McClendon of Danbury. Frankie, he's a pretty healthy guy in his career. So that's where goaltenders, teams can opt to have 2 or 3 goaltenders. Now, after this upcoming weekend, we still have expanded rosters because of all the moving up and down with the ECHL and the SPHL. The league is very gracious, I think, in granting teams the ability to have an extended roster for the first 3 weeks of the season. Okay, but after this weekend, we go to 20 plus 1, meaning 20. You have 18 skaters and 2 goaltenders. If you want to carry a third goaltender, well, then you can have the 20 plus the 1. You can't sign a 19th skater. You want an extra defenseman, you want an 8th defenseman on your team, well, then you're going to have to cut a forward or something. So that's where the policy becomes a 20 plus 1. You're not mandated to have the plus 1. It helps you out. It's a benefit. So, but yeah, the forward and defenseman positions, 18. That's your max. So that goes into place after the completion of the games this weekend. For most teams, it'll be on November 1st. Indiana and Danbury do play on Sunday, November 1st. So I believe those 2 teams will be able to still have their expanded roster for that one game. So there we go. So that clears that up, I hope. Last thing I want to just touch on, this is a little bit of an editorial that I'll throw in, but it really doesn't, it's not a volatile matter. But I just want to talk, I wrote it on here as attendance wars. I get a lot of messages after games are played and crowds are announced, and invariably it's there is no possible way that Port Huron had 2,500 plus last Friday. There is no way that Monroe had 4,500 plus in the crowd as a crowd last weekend. There's no way that Topeka had almost 7,000 people. And I get this from everyone. And the question that I have to ask is, why does it matter? Now, I don't think that it is beneficial to fudge attendance numbers, but generally speaking, the attendance number is tickets sold, not butts in the seat. Okay, so if a team comped 200 tickets and the 200 people don't show, well, that still counts as the total. Or they sold 5,000 seats, but only 3,500 are in the stands. Guess what? The attendance is 5,000. But I don't understand why people are so upset about this. It just doesn't make sense to me that everyone is so concerned about other teams' attendance. I don't get that. Um, if if Topeka's crowd was indeed 6,700 plus their first game, well, good for them. And guess what? Good for all of us. This benefits everyone in the league. When teams draw well, it helps the whole league out. All right, that money goes not just to the home team, but it also helps to defray travel costs for the visiting teams. It helps cover league expenditures like insurance and things like this. It's a good thing for everyone when teams draw well. So I'm asking as a favor, please don't send me messages complaining about other teams' attendance. I enjoy hearing from you, but it's just kind of gotten ridiculous. Don't be concerned if you're a Binghamton fan. Don't be concerned about how many fans Danbury draws. Whatever Danbury draws is what Danbury draws, and good for them. It doesn't have any impact on a Binghamton fan if Danbury had 2,100 fans or 2,500 fans. There's no, it doesn't affect you. You know? So I am pleading for everyone to stop looking at the attendance numbers as a competition. I know that there is a tab that says attendance, and the teams are ranked. Topeka, Binghamton, Monroe, or I guess it's Monroe second, Binghamton, so on and so forth. But that doesn't mean anything. The only thing that matters is totaling all 14 teams up and the number you get at the bottom. That's the number that matters. So I'm hoping that I can change some people's thought process here with attendance as far as what's really important about it. Hey, if you're a Topeka fan and you're gung ho about, hey, we drew 6,700 fans the first night, yeah, you should be happy. You know, and especially if you were there and you were one of those fans, hey, I was part of a great crowd last night. You know, that's great, but let's not make it a competition. All right, so that's all I'll say about that. Coming up this week, we have Picks and Previews on Friday. I will present that on Facebook via WordPress. There are 5 games on Friday, 6 on Saturday, and 1 on Sunday. So a lighter schedule this next week. There are 3 teams, I believe, that are idle. Definitely 2, I think 3. I don't have those notes in front of me. But anyway, we'll obviously recap the games. And hopefully, I'm hoping to nail down an interview time with a particular individual. I'm not going to say who yet, but I am hoping to get that nailed down in the next day or so. And so hopefully sometime next week, we will air an interview. we'll see. Hopefully that'll happen. If not, maybe it'll be the next week. We'll see. But we'll get it all figured out. So watch for that. That will be on YouTube. I'll post it on YouTube for hopefully Tuesday. So fingers crossed. All right, that is it for news and notes. That is it for me. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for all the support. The numbers are going up. Thank you. Yeah, I'm having my own attendance war here. I've got a whole bunch of new followers. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining the Fed League Flash community, and I hope you enjoy it. All right, make sure to hit like and subscribe here. Make sure you are subscribed or following my Facebook page. As news happens, it gets printed there, and then we talk about it here on YouTube. All right, guys, have a wonderful rest of the week. If we don't talk to you before then, we'll see you Friday with picks and previews on Facebook. Have a great one, everyone.